Okay, so in October of 1944, the United States returns to the Philippines. Lots of violence there. Fighting will go on for months. Probably still going on at the end of the war, to be honest. Mop up and stuff. But as we go into 1945, we're looking at drawing the Pacific War down to an end as well. Now, it could very well go into 46 or 47. We're planning the invasion of the Japan home islands. More of that here in a minute. But the next thing we're going to do, while MacArthur's working to pacify the Philippines and regain it, the Navy under Nimitz is going to go back on their own tasks. Okay, they've given up on going to Formosa. Get my trusty pen here. Okay. In February of 1945, the Navy is going to invade Iwo Jima. In April, they'll go Okinawa here. I forgot to put this map later. I'll go ahead and show you where Okinawa is now. Okay. Okinawa, although it's not part of the Japanese home island, the Japanese consider it homeland. They've been there for a very, very long time. But Iwo Jima is a very small island. It's a volcanic island. It's really not that big, but there's a reason why we want it. Okay, I've told you that U.S. Army Air Force B-29 bombers flying out of the Marianas have started bombing Japan. Okay, they have to fly within range of Iwo Jima. Japanese are building an airstrip there. Japanese fighters based on Iwo Jima could threaten the bombers on their way to Japan. So the Army Air Force would like this island. They want it for a couple of reasons. One, I'll say three reasons. One, if you take out Iwo Jima, you don't have to worry about Japanese fighter planes attacking the B-29s as they head towards Japan. Two, American fighter planes based on Iwo Jima, some of our models will have enough range to get to Japan. They could accompany the bombers. And a third reason would be to provide an emergency airstrip where damaged bombers or bombers with mechanical difficulties could land. Now, Iwo Jima is not big enough to try to run the bombing campaign out of. You couldn't bomb Japan from Iwo Jima. The island's not big enough to hold all the planes and support mechanisms. But you could have an emergency airfield, a B-29 returning from Japan with an engine shot out or mechanical difficulty could land there and maybe save the lives of the crew. So the Army Air Force wants Iwo Jima, and the Navy goes in to get it, and the Marines, of course, are assigned the tasks. So in February of 1945, the United States Marines will land on Iwo Jima. Okay. Then, like I said, on April, they'll go to Okinawa. We'll get to Okinawa later. Just kind of make a mental image here where that is. So here is Iwo Jima on 17 February 1945, pre-invasion bombardment. I told you it's a volcanic island. This is Mount Suribachi. This is the volcano. Here's all the stuff that came out of the volcano to create the island. It's not a very big island. Okay? All right. The Japanese are dug in on Iwo Jima really deep and hard. By now, they've had plenty of time to prepare, and they've changing their tactics and how they resist landings. I won't go into the details here. Let's just tell you that Iwo Jima turns into a slugfest. So the Marines land on Iwo Jima. They are going ashore in little amphibious tractors, and this thing turns into a nasty, brutal battle. I mean, you literally have to just capture the island inch by inch. Okay? And the Japanese, who don't really believe in surrender, will fight almost to the last man. You basically have to kill all of them. Okay? If you capture Japanese, it's probably because they got wounded and couldn't fight any longer and were too weak to kill themselves or unconscious. Every now and then you'll get somebody who decides, you know what, there's no surrender policies for the birds. But I mean, you'll go into an island where there's thousands of Japanese soldiers and you'll be lucky to capture a couple of dozen. Okay? So the Iwo Jima battle turns into a really, really bloody affair for the United States Marine Corps. Now, one reason I like to talk about this is the famous photo. Okay? The Marines get to the top of Mount Suribachi. Okay? They want everyone to know they've made it. They plant a flag. Okay? Trouble is, it's not a really big flag. And so they decide, we need a big flag. So they send someone down to one of the Navy ships to get one of the big, huge flags that the Navy flies off of their ships. They carry it back up to the top of the mountain, and they get a pole, and they set this thing up. And this here is one of the most famous photos in history. It won the Pulitzer Prize. Okay, there's a photographer there. He just happens to get the shutter at just the right moment, takes that shot of the Americans raising the flag on Iwo Jima. And this has been on postage stamps, it's been on war bond posters, and it's the basis of the Marine Corps Memorial at Arlington National Cemetery. And it's just so well put together that some people just assume it must be posed. But it's not. And we know it's not because there's motion picture footage of it too. There was a motion picture cameraman there filmed the flag raising. And if it would have been a posed photo, everybody would have, okay, get your hand there. All right, you move a little bit. We can't see your face. Turn this. The photographer would have been getting everybody done. The motion picture footage shows clearly that they just stick that thing in and they put it up, and the still photographer just happened to get it at just the exact moment. And it takes a very, very, very famous photo. So it is not a posed photo. But this is actually the second flag raising on Iwo Jima. Most people don't know that. This is the first flag raising. Okay. And I don't. This could be a posed photo. I don't know. The reason I say maybe it's posed. Look at Mr. Tough Guy here. He's sitting there with the carbine, keeping an eye out for Japanese, while everybody else seems nonchalant. Now, it may not be posed. It may have said, "Okay, you keep an eye out for Japanese while we get this thing going." But this one, very famous photo, and now you know where it came from, in case you didn't already know. Well, I get my eraser to work here. Alright, otherwise it's on the next slide too. Alright. Next thing in our hit parade of stuff going on is the invasion of Okinawa, which I already showed you where it is on the map. We invade Okinawa on April 1st, 1945. And no, I don't expect you to remember that date. The only reason I remember it is it's April Fool's Day, or I wouldn't remember it. But Okinawa is a much, much, much bigger island than Iwo Jima. And both Marine and Army troops go ashore in Okinawa. And this too turns into a long, drawn-out, bloody affair. It takes months to properly secure the island. I just got a couple of photos here. Here's some Marines on Okinawa. You see the vegetation's been stripped by fire. They're working to blast the Japanese out of caves. It really drags on. It's really nasty. And heavy casualties. But what's more ominous, not just the casualties inland, but offshore. Okay, so the Navy has to bring in the Army and the Marines. They have to bring in the supplies. They have to provide gunfire support until the ground troops can set up artillery on Okinawa. They have aircraft carriers that are trying to keep Japanese counterattacks away. And so the Navy is kind of stuck off of Okinawa. They can't get too far away because they have to protect the island. Okay, which means the Japanese know where they are. And here's where you start seeing the use of the kamikaze suicide planes. Okay? Now, there had been some kamikaze attacks in the Philippines, but it was kind of a local ad hoc. Some guys said, you know what, let's just go crash our planes into the Americans, man. But by the time we get to Okinawa, it's an organized unit. Okay? So basically what the Japanese do, by now the Japanese are kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel on pilots. They don't have very well trained pilots. Remember, the Japanese feel it's an honor to die for the emperor. Okay? And so they will take off in their airplanes, fueled and bombed, fly a one-way mission to Okinawa with a plan to just crash their planes into American ships, making them effectively guided missiles. Okay? It's much more accurate than just dropping a bomb if you actually steer your plane into the ship, because you can make last-minute corrections. And once you drop a bomb, it's going where it's going. Okay? Why would they do this? Well, I've already told you, the Japanese consider it an honor to die for their country. That's one thing. There's another part of this, too. At this point in time, the Japanese pilots are so inexperienced and poorly trained that they go up to fight the Americans. They're not going to probably come home anyway. In the previous big naval battle prior to the Battle of Leyte Gulf, The American pilots shot down so many Japanese airplanes that they called it the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. Okay? It was like shooting fish in a barrel. Okay? So it's not that big of a step psychologically from going, man, if I go to fight the Americans, I'll probably get killed, to just going, you know what, I'll just plan on getting killed. And so the kamikaze wreaks havoc on the Navy off of Okinawa. So these are suicide planes. Okay? They hit many, many ships. Okay? They sink a bunch of smaller ships, destroyers, minesweepers, and they're not able to sink any of our big aircraft carriers because by this point, the U.S. Navy had become like the most efficient firefighting organization on the planet. Okay, damage control. But aircraft carriers burn really well. They carry a lot of gasoline. The planes have oil in them. And so although the kamikaze never sink one of our carriers, they severely damage some of them and actually knock a couple out of the war. There's some ships that are so badly damaged that they won't get repaired in time to rejoin the war. And the Navy actually takes heavier casualties off of Okinawa than the Marines and Army are taking on Okinawa. Okay? Now the upshot of all this is if you've had to basically kill all the Japanese soldiers on Iwo Jima and take horrendous casualties in the process. And then, off of Okinawa, the Navy's getting beat up by these kamikazes, people who are so determined to kill you that they will die in the process. Nobody really has good feelings about the invasion of Japan. It looks like it could be literally a bloodbath. It could cost thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of American lives. Estimates are all over the place. Okay? But they're just estimates. And how many Japanese would you have to kill? 100,000, 200,000. How many Japanese would you have to kill if you invaded the Japanese home island? And so they may start looking for ways to try to end the war by some other means. It's called foreshadowing. Okay? So I'm going to jump back to the original outline for Lecture 12, okay, and we'll talk about Potsdam.